Hi, welcome back. I'm so excited to talk to you today about I don't even know what. Oh, wait, yeah, I know. Today we're talking about eating disorders. Today we're talking about binge eating disorder, bulimia, anorexia, and then orthorexia, which is one that I feel like I lied to myself for my entire life about. So let's just jump right in. My eating disorder journey has been in every direction. So every possible way that you can eat, I have. Every diet, every, like I said, eating disorder, it's like all of it. And I'm not saying that diet has anything to do with eating disorders necessarily, because diets like the ketogenic diet and the carnivore diet, animal-based eating, and the vegan diet and the plant-based diet, those are all just like styles of eating, and for some certain bodies they're fantastic and people thrive on them. So I'm not trying to shit on any diet, but in my eating disorder journey, I don't think I should call it that, I tried them all, and not out of a foundation of love, which is a super important thing to discuss when you're talking about making any changes in your life, whether that's with diet and exercise, or mental health, or relationships, or healing, like whatever. Foundation of love is the only foundation to have when you're making changes in your life. Cool. So, personally, when I was like 16, I was like super into sports, super active, and yeah, that kind of just like ended abruptly, and my body like gained more fat, and I got like my period and started like getting more like feminine, and I didn't accept that with welcoming arms. So that wasn't a good thing to me, because my whole life it was like shown to me that being strong and lean and like tough, like that was what I was. So suddenly that like identity of like a bodybuilder type identity was just gone. And I didn't even know who I was anymore. So that led to a lot of problems, and the first thing it led to was emotional eating, which essentially is binge eating for me. So after dinner, like before bed, I would run into the kitchen and like just grab, whether it was like leftover food or snacks and treats, like dessert. Oh my God, I would just go crazy. And I would literally eat while I was doing something else. So I'd be distracted consciously and just like eating and eating and eating. And it would feel good, right? Food tastes good, and food gives you that dopamine hit, which I did not even know anything about, of course. I was just 16, and dopamine wasn't really talked about too much back then, but, and that was a really negative cycle. It was a really negative thing that I did for a super long time, like, unconsciously. Or you could say subconsciously, I programmed myself to be that way. And so subconsciously, if there was a problem in my life, or if I just was super like sad and not feeling good, and or, like anything, that's what I would go to. I would hide away from people and just go eat something. And I actually lost so much money to this, just the same way that in addiction, people lose so much money to addiction, whether it's alcohol or substances. I lost so much fucking money to food. Like, and I don't think people talk about that really, because it's like, we're like told that it's like expensive to eat healthy, but you know what's really fucking expensive? Is binge eating. You just like eat so much fucking food. Anyway, I digress. So that was a real thing for me. And then when I was like 20, 21, and throughout this whole phase from like 16 to 21, I was working out. So I would get like super lean and super fit and work out super hard, and then get like depressed or something, and the binge eating would just take over. So it's not necessarily that I ever stopped doing it, but it would occur more if I was depressed, and less if I was feeling confident about how my body looked, which we know is like a sad thing, but at that time I just didn't like think about the whole like connection of all this stuff. So I was just trying to be healthy. What I knew health was strong in the gym, and and so when I turned about like 21, I started being like a bar girly. Actually, it was like 22. I like started going to bars and I started drinking a lot. Actually, not really a lot, but more. I mean, I was drinking in general. I wasn't doing that before. When you drink, not only is that a whole bunch of like shitty inflammatory calories. I don't really like to care about calories, but it's just a whole bunch of extra energy that you're not doing anything with, and it's also inflaming your body. So I slowly started to get a little like chunkier, and I hated that. And so that's when my like drug addiction started. And at first it was just Adderall, and it was actually from a friend who I thought was a friend, and now I can see that it was more like a drug buddy situation. But yeah, I would basically just get fed Adderall and not eat for days, and not really binge drink at this time, but drink, you know, like for fun, like hang out with people. And I wouldn't eat, and my body got so little, and I loved it because I didn't feel like this big masculine presence. Like I felt like a dainty, like little, like cute girl, and the attention I got for that felt so good. I definitely like lacked a lot of attention growing up, at least in ways that I wanted it, because I was lacking something else. I'm not really sure. We'll go into that in another video, but we definitely will talk about that. I got really small and I got really unhealthy, and that went on for actually not that long, but a couple months, and it turned into cocaine, and that was not good, and it was not a look for me. And I just decided like I have to stop, because I don't think it really gets better from here, you know? And I realized like not that people are designed or like destined to be things necessarily, but I just knew I wasn't in my lane. I just knew I wasn't meant to do drugs and drink alcohol. Like that wasn't what my life was supposed to be about. And so something in me just like called me to stop. Hey, what? So something pulled me out of it, and I'm not sure what it was, and I'm extremely grateful. But honestly, I feel like it would be like another version of me was like, hey bitch, it's time to get your shit together. And so that's what I did. I got sober from drugs, and then it did take me like another year probably to get sober from alcohol. But when I stopped doing drugs, that's when the weight came back. Obviously, because I start eating again, and I never addressed the underlying problem that was there the whole time, which was disordered eating, which was emotional eating and dopamine addiction. So not addressing that, obviously I gained weight back, but I knew consciously that I would gain weight because I knew I would eat. Like I needed to do that. I needed to go through that phase of the healing process of, okay, I'm going to start eating again. I'm going to start nourishing my body, and I'm going to gain weight because of that. And for the next couple of years, it was kind of just like going through different diets and phases of eating and getting really into cooking. But on and off, my food addiction would come back in waves. It would be like only eating a little for a little while and really liking the results of that and working out more and loving the results of that. And then I would kind of crash, and I would still be cooking wonderful, delicious food, but I would just be eating a lot more of it a lot more often and not working out. So my weight kind of fluctuated up and down, and the dopamine addiction definitely wasn't like even acknowledged. And neither were really any of the eating disorders, because I just knew I needed to start with eating again in general. I wasn't ready for that. Here we are. It's 2023, like the end of the year, I'd say like July, August, actually like the middle of the year. I got this job at this health food store, and at that time, I was 100% plant-based, but any time in my life that I was plant-based or vegan, if I was binge eating, everything was on the table. Like, I didn't care, because it was an addiction, right? It wasn't like I was like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it past that. So I got this job at this health food store, and I was working for this naturopath, and she taught me so much shit about the functions of our bodies at like a cellular level that I just never even fucking considered, right? Up until that point, health was extremely aesthetic for me. Actually, I'm not even sure if you would want to call it health, but like eating and exercise was purely aesthetic. I hadn't thought about the connection between my mood disorders and my diet or my gut or my brain, like any of that, right? And she taught me so much stuff. And she also introduced me to hormone health. And as a 25-year-old woman, what a divine time to learn about the health of my hormones. So I read this book. It's called Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Peltz. She addresses blood sugar. She addresses the gut microbiome. She addresses fasting for hormone health and how women need to fast differently than men. She addresses cycling specific diets into your hormones and into your hormonal cycle. So like the first 3 weeks-ish of your cycle, you can do fasting and a more ketogenic diet, but the week before your period, you need to not fast like pretty much at all, and just make sure you're cycling in carbs so that we can build progesterone. And she taught me so much shit I literally just didn't know, and I was definitely destined to learn from her, and I'll like forever be grateful for her. So in doing this, I started to get more like an idea of like what health is, right? And while I was learning this, I was so fascinated, and I developed such a fiery passion for this that I lost, I want to say 30 pounds. And yeah, I just got super lean. I also fell in love with Pilates at this time. So my orthorexia, my exercise addiction was like fueled by the fact that I was seeing like insane leaning results that I had never really seen before, and it all felt really manageable. But if I'm being really honest, I was doing so much fasting that I really wasn't feeling that good a lot of the time, because when you think about fasting, it's you're detoxing and digesting bad parts of cells, whole cells, tumor cells, cancer cells, bad bacteria and viruses. So you're basically forcing your body to get rid of stuff that's hurting it and that's working against you. And that's a beautiful thing, but that process doesn't always feel that good. So doing so much fasting, like I was constantly not feeling that awesome. And during my fasting periods, I was pushing myself to do longer and longer fasts more often. And I kind of completely missed the point of health there, because I just got so into these benefits I was seeing. My body got incredibly lean. I literally felt like a little supermodel. That's just like how I felt about myself. And so at this point, my aesthetics were really like the thriving underlying reason why I was doing any of it. But I also knew that I had done so much damage from vaping and smoking weed and smoking cigarettes and drinking and doing drugs that I was doing a lot of healing to my body. So that was also like extremely powerful. It wasn't just aesthetics, but it was a big combination of how I was looking and the fact that I knew I was healing all the damage I did, which was really exciting. And I was really, really, really grateful to like be able to understand and actually practice. But that kind of all came to a stop when the dopamine addiction wasn't addressed, the binge eating wasn't addressed, and the orthorexia was not addressed. Because eventually, the fasting I couldn't keep up with, because I was trying to push myself harder and harder and harder to do bigger and longer fasts, which were not necessarily necessary for me. I've now come to try to even out and do more consistent fasting of specific fasts. So specifically for me right now, I'm doing like 24-hour fasting for the first like 3-ish weeks of my cycle. And so that's just eating one meal a day, and it feels fantastic. I mean, my gut has so much time to process my dinner from the night before, and oh my god, I feel amazing. And this round I didn't cycle in any 36-hour fasts, but those are like fat burner, like kind of a reset, like to get your body out of a plateau if you're trying to lose weight, but also just give you that much more extra time in autophagy for your body to digest like shitty old cells that aren't working, and viruses and bacteria that are harming your body. So I didn't end up doing any 36-hour fasts this period, which I almost wanted to like feel bad about, but that's not the fucking point. So thank God I'm realizing this. And then as my the week before my period is coming up, I will add in sweet potatoes and fruit and quinoa salads and so stuff like that into my already animal-based diet, which I also will talk about more in another video. So here's what happened. I stopped fasting. I gained the weight back. I started working out again. I lost the weight. I didn't address the dopamine. I didn't address the eating disorder, and now here we are. I am finally to the point where I'm like, okay, I've been ignoring my body. I've been ignoring my subconscious programming, these eating disorders, and this exercise disorder for so many years. And now that I am so passionate about health and a balance, a fun balance, and getting to like actually enjoy life, it feels like it's all kind of coming together for me with all the different diets I've tried and everything I've taken from all of them, to all the different styles of eating, to all of the issues that I specifically need to address. And I'm just like super excited because I was definitely meant to go through all of this to be able to explain my healing process and to be able to do it like super raw and vulnerable for you guys here. I am gonna say this probably right now. I don't know that I'll ever say it again, but the way that I dress for this channel, I'm trying to do like the most authentically that I can, because I don't want to hide my body out of shame, because there should be no shame in having a body no matter what it looks like. So I just want to go ahead and say that right now. I will not cover up parts of me that are undesirable to people maybe, or not as beautiful, or not as toned or sexy or feminine. I'm actually just gonna be as real as I can, as often as I can, because I really like want to show you not only can you heal yourself, but you weren't meant to come into this body and live this life to feel shame. Like, you were not meant to do that. And so I'm not gonna do that, and I'm just gonna show you that, okay? So I just want to address that really quick. I know some of my clothes are a little bit more booby than others, and that would just be because I don't buy clothes ever. So I've been rocking the same shit for like 10 years now, and my body has been through phases, and this is one of them, I guess. So yeah, anyway, enough about my body, because that's not the emphasis of this video. I have suffered from orthorexia. For me, that looks like using exercise to obtain and maintain a specific body type. And for me, that body type is lean, but still toned and muscular, but like as small as I can be. Which is so sad, like picturing the younger versions of me just wanting to be smaller, because I was like struggling with more side effects of being overweight and feeling uncomfortable in that skin. And so I understand it, but at the same time, like from a health perspective and from like a consciousness perspective, like I just really want to put hands on that girl and just give her a hug and just tell her like, that's not the point. Okay, so I'm gonna do that for you, okay? I'll put my hands on you and just tell you like, being smaller is not the fucking point, and it should not be your desired end goal. Your desired end goal should be feeling confident in the body that you have and being able to live and exist in your body and love it and let go of any shame towards it, right? Sexually or not sexually. And also to gain the most health that you can, to heal your gut, to heal your skin, to heal your organs, to heal your brain, to heal your mood disorders. Wow, I will talk about that another time, but that is a huge one for me, okay? And so I really address this. So this orthorexia thing, what I'm doing right now is I stopped working out a month ago. I didn't intentionally stop working out. I just fell into one of my kind of cycles of, I don't want to say depression, because it's not depression anymore, because my life, I feel like there's a reason for it, and there's a reason I'm here doing what I'm doing. And so this depressive like phase where I don't feel like moving, I don't feel like getting up, and it started at right before my last period. So I was like leaning into it. I was like, oh yeah, I just need to sleep. I just need to rest. Well, it actually lasted through until now, which is almost a month later. I haven't worked out like formally, just like at all. And I even like stopped going on walks. My body was just tired, and it didn't feel like just tired now. It felt tired from like holding up this disorder for so long. And I was just like, you know what? It's time. It's time to really address the problem here. And the problem here is I have only ever exercised, ever, for the aesthetic of my body. I have never exercised my body to get mobility and to work on my flexibility and to maintain strength, because naturally, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like naturally like a stronger woman. I have like, I don't know if it's like higher testosterone or what, but I've always had more muscle mass, and that's not a brag. That's something that I have had to deal with mentally as trying to be a feminine, delicate lady carrying around a fucking sack full of muscles my whole life. And so, anyway, part of my exercise healing goals have been to approach any sort of movement with, this is adding health to my body, this is nourishing my body, this is giving my body positive energy, and it is allowing negative energy to move out and new positive energy to move in. And so I actually saw this routine, and I've done it once, but I haven't done it since, and I'm just gonna allow myself to wait until I'm ready to do it again. But there's this like 5-part exercise routine. So it was slapping, slapping your muscles, like waking everything up, you know, slapping, resistance training. So squats, push-ups, anything like with a band, like resistance, like your own body weight resistance, or it could be, you know, lifting weights, but I would just do body weight, or like Pilates style stuff. So slapping, resistance, stretching, so like yoga style stretching, breath work, meditation. I am trying to work on my consciousness. I am trying to work on being able to heal and nurture my own body, especially in anxious moments and times when my mind is just running. And so I've been practicing meditative practices, and so and yoga, and I love yoga so much, and I haven't been doing it. So I saw this person on the internet, I wish I knew his name, but he showed a 5-part movement routine, and it was so playful, and he was like jumping around and just like moving intuitively. And then when he was done, he ended with a meditation practice, and I was like, I was meant to see you right now. And so all of those things have different ways of nurturing the body while also working together. So the added benefit of them working together. And I was like, okay, I think this is what we're moving to next. But fortunately for me with exercise, I've always had a thing. And yes, that thing has changed a lot. It has been weightlifting. It has been yoga, it has been Pilates and yoga, it has been just Pilates or just walking. And right now I think a gorgeous combination of all of those things might be like the best thing for me. But maybe the best thing for you is weight training, is heavy weightlifting. Maybe it is just Pilates, maybe it is just walking, maybe it is aerial from the sky, hanging, pole dancing. Oh my god, I so fucking wish. Maybe it's pole dancing, and that's wonderful. And so I think, for the first thing to combat orthorexia is to not pressure yourself to exercise. Never exercise because of an aesthetic. And also allow the fluidity of different movements and different styles. Whatever your body is literally telling you it wants to do that thing. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, we're going to talk about eating disorders a little bit, so just be ready for that. With my binge eating disorder, fasting at first was like the opposite of that, right? Instead of eating extra, I'm eating less or not eating at all. And so when I did fasting the first time around, I told you I got hooked on it, but really what also happened was that became the new disorder. I started to fast and fast and fast more because it made me feel good about how I looked. So it's been a little bit tricky to incorporate fasting back into my life, but it's been so worth it because of the health benefits and because of the dopamine detox. Working on not eating all throughout the day was super fucking hard this time. Like this year, getting back into fasting and trying to heal my dopamine and heal these eating disorders, like for once and for all, and like really just acknowledge them and work through them. Fasting has been such a mirror for me because it really showed me where I was at with dopamine. I mean, I could fast all day and then eat dinner at night, and like survive that, but like mentally, like in my mood, I was fucking bored as piss, and I was just like, I had like nothing to do, and I realized I get so much dopamine now, since I've done this for years and years and years, when I eat. And I know you naturally get dopamine when you eat food, and that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing, that's a primal thing. Like, mission accomplished, you took care of yourself, you're able to provide for yourself, here's some dopamine. But I have just, with the programming that I instilled in myself for so long, that was like amped up super fucking high. And that's where I get most of my pleasure. Really quick on the side note of pleasure, since I'm just being super real here, I stopped masturbating and watching porn like maybe a year ago, but I realized like, and I didn't think I had an addiction with that, because I would just do it kind of randomly, but I would like do it once and then like do it for like weeks and months, and then just one day like forget about it or something, and then like rediscover it. And I didn't love the porn part. I already knew there was something bad there, but also the masturbation, like it was just instant gratification. Like whenever I wanted to, I could come. And I don't think that's good for you. I think developing a beautiful sexual relationship with your partner, with a partner, or with yourself, I guess, this is confusing. In my experience, developing that really, really, really deep, beautiful connection sexually with your partner and experiencing the sexual gratification with another person and making it like a whole ceremonial thing is so much more beneficial for me mentally and emotionally than the cheap dopamine fix of just like using a vibrator every single day, however many times a day, whatever. Like it really did get to be a problem when I would do it. So I decided I was going to detox from porn. I'm done with porn because of how it just objectifies really not just women, but like men too. And it just makes us just sexual objects, and we're way beyond sexual objects, and our sexuality is our creativity. It's our fucking power. And I was like, okay, I'm done dumping out my power every day. I'm gonna save my power for me. I'm gonna use my power in my life, in my expression of myself. And so I stopped doing that. So that dopamine hit stopped being a thing. So I'm not masturbating anymore, and I'm fasting. So like that's all the dopamine I feel like most people get is from masturbation and food, right? Anymore, at least. I mean, like there's like 3% of you guys out there who are like really healthy and conscious about what you're doing. But most people these days, their dopamine is, oh yeah, social media too. That's another one. Just dopamine on dopamine, always getting so much of it, right? And I feel like dopamine in our body works the same way that insulin works in our body. So when we have such a rush of insulin so often and our blood sugar is spiking so often, essentially your body can't handle all that insulin and you get insulin resistant. And that's kind of the same thing with dopamine, kind of to an extent. Maybe I should explain that different. I'm gonna say that better later, maybe not even in this video, but I kind of made a connection there in my brain. If you don't know anything about insulin resistance, I'll talk about that in another video. It's extremely important that you know about it, so please look for that video. But essentially, I let go of so much dopamine that I got depressed. Surprise! I wasn't being stimulated constantly. I wasn't constantly on my phone. I wasn't constantly eating, and I wasn't going to jerk off. Ew, I hated that. I really hated that. I wasn't masturbating to feel pleasure and to feel something. I was really just existing. And I gotta be real fucking honest, these last couple of weeks of the fasting combined with the no masturbation and already on top of that, the no social media, it was just like the cherry on top of the cake as far as getting rid of dopamine addiction. And I'm not saying I've completely gotten rid of this addiction, but I am saying what a fucking powerful thing, what a mirror it has shown me how addicted I was to stimulation, any stimulation. And yeah, wow. Like, I thought I was going crazy there for a little. Like, all I could think about was food, and I was just thinking about eating all the time, and what I ended up doing was leaning into it. I realized my obsessive thoughts about food during this time while I was fasting, and I was just like, there's more to life than not eating and spending the whole day thinking about eating. There's more to life than spending the whole day thinking about eating. There's more to life than looking forward to when you can come home and jerk off. There's more to life than to come home and wait till you get off work so you can crack your first beer or smoke your first joint of the day. Like, this dopamine addiction that we are all going through right now is a fucking pandemic, and it's really time that people start talking about it because it's extremely, extremely important, okay? So I'm coming off of dopamine. I accidentally did a dopamine detox, but that has helped my eating disorders because I took that break from food and appreciate it as I experience eating for what it is. It's nutrition, and I allowed myself to eat less and less, as in when you're fasting, I obviously have plenty of fat on my body. I'm not dying or starving, but when you're fasting, it's pretty kind of confusing. I'm not sure that people talk about this, but essentially, while you're fasting, your body is not starving. Your body is eating itself. It is eating stored glucose in your muscles. It's eating excess fat. It's eating excess, it's letting go of and digesting toxins and viruses, bacteria, etc. So you're not actually starving at all. And so I used to think okay, I fast for 24 hours. Well, then I need to eat my daily calorie intake at the end of the day. No, not necessarily. And if you do a healthy balance of fasting and not fasting, then you're not being unhealthy in an anorexic way, in a way of starving yourself and depriving yourself of vitamins and minerals, and especially replenishing those vitamins and minerals when you come off the fast. If you do this the right, beautiful way, which I'm going to show you all about with my channel, you can heal yourself, you can feel great in your skin, and you don't have to hold on to these identities anymore and these maybe things that you've been struggling to with your whole life. It's so funny how long I had disordered eating and either denied it or just was yeah, I do this. When you can obviously see it, you can obviously see that I'm eating in excess, or you can obviously see that I'm starving myself, or you can obviously see that I'm not healthy based on the color of the skin on my face and my complexion on the skin on my body. You know what I mean? I just denied it for so long, and I'm just very grateful to be where I am right now. And where I am is here sharing with you guys how you can do the same thing. I'm going to make a program, but I'm only going to make it as a guide to really show you, based on anywhere that you are, the steps that you can take. And I'm going to take into account every eating disorder I can think of, every chronic issue and disease I can think of. I'm going to do my research. Obviously, I'm not just going to start making shit up, but I also want to talk about research real quick. When I do any sort of research or learning or education on all the shit that I have learned on fitness and movement and all the different types of that and all the different types of eating and chronic diseases and symptoms we go through, I do not just listen to one teacher. My perspective is that of every type of doctor and medical expert and dietitian. I will listen to everyone talk about everything and try to understand the truth in what they're saying and how that ties into the overall truth, or at least my understanding of it from my experience and a whole bunch of other people's too. So yeah, essentially just want to put it out there that I used to just follow one person and anything they'd say, I was that's the shit. that person knows everything. They literally, that's God right there. And now I have a bit of perspective, and I'm working on just constantly expanding that, which is so powerful. I am healing my dopamine addiction. It's going wonderfully, because honestly, if I would have made this video last week, I would have been like, I hate this so much. But I didn't hate it. I just was going through it. I was going through the withdrawals. I was fucking bored, and I felt lazy, and I felt like a loser. And I'm like, oh, I'm not making any money. I'm not creating anything. I don't want to move my body. And that is the detoxification process of getting rid of the addiction to dopamine. And you know what it's brought me? The simple moment in life. It has really pulled me into the present moment and shown me fucking how powerful it is to be alive, how beautiful it is to be alive, the beauty and simplicity of reading a book at night, practicing some Spanish, petting my kitties. When I create a video, I put my whole life into it, and I actually am working on cinematics and creating movies. I think that's so beautiful, and had I not taken the time to address this dopamine thing, my world would look entirely different, okay? So dopamine addiction, eating disorders, I let go of anorexia because I knew if I was gonna be healthy and heal my brain and heal my gut, I needed to eat food. I just accepted that, and I accepted that I was gonna gain weight, and that was a big pill to swallow, because if anyone out there knows, gaining weight publicly is it's like a hate crime or something. It's the topic of conversation for people that know you, and it's how you get fucking canceled on the internet, I guess. At the same time, you could say the opposite about the internet thing, but I really just had to accept that I wasn't going to be a size 00, and I was going to go through this phase, and I was going to learn, and I was going to come back, and my health was going to, I knew my health was going to come back. So the anorexia thing, I would love to help anyone out there who needs some healing with that, but it was a mind fuck, and watching your body get bigger when you just only feel worthy if you're small, that was also a huge fucking mind fuck. So I can definitely talk more about that if we need to. The dopamine addiction is powerful, heavy, and definitely needs to be addressed, not just for me. Like I said, it's a fucking pandemic with social media, with all of the food and the convenience and fast food that's advertised to us, along with all of these different fucking diets and losing weight. And you can see that there's so many symptoms out there, like chronic fatigue and other autoimmune disorders and chronic illnesses and symptoms like excess weight gain and toxic overload. So we can see that this is a problem here, and I think dopamine is the fucking culprit, and I think a lot of people know that. It's really time we start talking about it. Cool. What else? But yes, to summarize, I am working on healing my orthorexia, my addiction to movement and exercise. I am healing my dopamine addiction, and I'm really just setting myself free and taking myself out of this box that I thought I had to be in order to be loved and be liked and be worth anything in this world. To be noticed and get attention. So I took myself out of this box. I'm letting myself expand. I'm letting myself shape and morph into whatever I'm meant to be. And I'm gonna do that right in front of you to show you that you can do the same. Thank you so much if you're still here watching this. Thank you for listening to my content. Thank you for hearing me and for allowing me to be real and be authentically who I am and look the way that I look. And thank you for letting me accept myself the way I am. You guys are my whole life. So thank you. I hope you have the best day, okay? All right. And let me know in the comments if there's more things that you want me to touch on deeper, because I would love to. Okay, bye guys. Thank you.